Alright, so we're starting off with an article from Algora blog. Ooh, this is going to be a very, very big article. So, it is dated February 24th, 2022. It's got 12 comments. Look at that.
Wonderful.
It's by Victoria Venk via Strata UA via stalkerzone.org.
Okay.
Zach, did you start writing for them?
No.
Oh, okay. So, on April 23rd, the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine acknowledged that there are biological laboratories in Ukraine that are under the control of the Pentagon.
April 23rd.
April 23rd.
Huh.
Now, I believe they're referencing 2021. Now, when was this news breaking?
Just now, but
I'd say
earlier it was February.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
And this came out in February.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I got more comments on the post. I feel special.
It's okay. It only gets uphill from here.
Only gets uphill from here, yes. I've taken the Hunter Biden School of Excellency. Passed. I was the sixth year, but
Joe Biden of your class.
I was the 6th year, but I did it.
Oh my God, Zach.
On April 14th, People's Deputies from Opposite Platform for Life, Viktor Medvedchuk and Renat Kazmun, wrote requests to 4 leaders of the country. President Zelensky, Prime Minister Schmigel,
These are great names, by the way.
They are.
head of the SBU, Bakanov, and Minister... I definitely did not say that. Bakanov. And Minister of Healthcare, Stepanov.
They sound like they'd be made up for a TV show. Like, what is this?
And they freaking rhyme, too.
Yo,
That's
Zelensky, Schmigel, Bakanov, and Stepanov. They're just twins. Schmigel. I'm definitely saying that name correctly. There's no way I'm saying that one wrong. In an appeal with reference to Serbian and Bulgarian media, it is reported that the U.S. has more than 400 bacteriological laboratories around the world, including at least 15 in Ukraine. I read reports that it was 26 in Ukraine.
Wow.
Wow.
Love it. People's Deputies note that the functioning of American biolaboratories in Ukraine started during the presidency of Viktor Yushchenko and the premiership of Yulia Tymoshenko, August 29th, 2005. I hope I butchered those names as well as I think I did. 2005, guys. How old were you? 6?
6.
6. I was 5.
7.
Nobody cares about you, Zach.
7.
Yeah, I'm a year older.
Wow. Just that much more of a disappointment.
No, you were still 6 because it's August, not September.
Oh, yeah, then yeah,
Dumb.
6.
I just got to America a couple months before that.
Cool.
Those were some tough times. At that time, cooperation agreements were signed between the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ministry of Healthcare of Ukraine for the prevention of proliferation technologies, growth of body tissue by cell division, pathogens, and expertise that can be used for the development of biological weapons. In fact, the work in the laboratories is carried out under the program of biological experiments. The budget is $2.1 billion and is funded by the U.S. Defense Threat Reduction Agency. The Scientific and Technical Center in Ukraine, an international organization funded by the American authorities and whose staff have diplomatic immunity, has also become involved in this activity. This organization is engaged in financing projects for the creation of weapons of mass destruction.
I don't like that. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that?
Yeah.
This organization is engaged in financing projects for the creation of weapons of mass destruction. Whew. Just had to read that one again. That's heavy.
That is very heavy. And it just gives our government too much power, almost.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Trump very much did say, peace through strength. So it's kind of a furtherance on that. So in ways it's good, but in ways it's also a little bit scary.
I'd rather have a weapon that I'd never have to use than have to fight wars because people are not intimidated by me.
True.
You know, it's one of those things for me. So while I would think, okay, yeah, like it's horrible, but at the end of the day, who's going to fuck with us if we have something that can literally decimate
And
your
Trump
entire
showed that
civilization?
too, like for
Right.
Trump
Willingness
versus
and
Biden
ability.
now, where it's like
Right.
we had a president that was feared and they didn't do anything to us.
Right. And there's a difference between being firm and respected and being foolish and weak. Like, look at Putin. He's pretty much going insane at this point. Like, it's total censorship in this country because he can't let shit get out that they're really not doing that great.
The continuous lies in elections. How did he
Right.
get elected every year? And it was never the people that voted for him.
Right.
Yeah, that too. So
We're gonna pull up the clip of Biden saying he's a killer, man.
But, you know, you had Trump saying grab her by the pussy or...
Whoa,
saying
whoa,
some-
whoa, whoa, whoa! We're gonna have to blur that out,
Wonky
guys. I'm
shit.
really sorry. Let's say grab her by the cat. Okay.
the kitty cat.
Which is absolutely the worst thing we could ever do as a president in the United States.
Right. Sure. I could think of a few worse things. Bribing another country to get your son out of jail. Well, not out of jail, but
Leaving
to keep him out of
13
jail.
You know what's kind of crazy?
soldiers in Afghanistan. You know, I could think of worse things.
You know what's kind of crazy?
Abandoning our
The
people
president,
in a country.
the president that
Inflation.
arrested the most amount of journalists and bombed the most amount of school children in other countries and sent the most amount of bombs in our entire history as a president was in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
I never even realized that, too. You're talking about Obama, right?
Obama.
Yeah. Yeah, I never knew that at all. I
School
mean, yeah,
children
I
be
was a
damned.
kid, but I had no idea how bad it was until I hear other people talk about the things he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. America's number one.
My fellow Americans. We will bomb this today.
He makes sense as a Simpsons character.
Really, though.
So in Terpenol, in 2009, there was a virus that called You want to try and pronounce that one?
Hemorrhagic?
Okay. Hemorrhagic pneumonia. Its victims were 450 Ukrainians. In 2011, there was an outbreak of cholera. Cholera? Did I say that?
Cholera.
Cholera in Ukraine. 33 people died. Zach, I wish you were one of them. 3 years later, cholera was diagnosed already 800 citizens. Another year later, more than 100 cases of cholera were recorded in Nikolov.
Wait, so this was from a biolab?
Yes.
And this was in 2009. You know what else happened in 2009? The swine flu.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get me then. I almost did. But no, seriously, like
Got him.
that's this is concerning. Like I wonder if now oh no, we probably can't talk about that with YouTube with Corona, so nothing happened there. Never mind.
Oh, I think Andrew, was it you that posted something about China wanting us to like do an internal investigation on ourselves about if anything could have possibly leaked from our labs?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
It's like, how ironic that the country that has been fighting so hard to not have their
Yes.
labs inspected properly is calling us to inspect our labs.
Yep.
It's like, how about you do the same and we'll do it with you, China? You can
Yeah,
inspect us
Exactly.
and we'll inspect you.
Exactly.
Please.
It's like, it's literally playing that game.
It's like children. They're children
exactly.
over there.
Right.
Of playing that game when you were a kid. It's like,
That's
do this for me.
awesome.
Do this for me. And it's like, wait, no,
Yeah.
do this for me. I asked first, so you gotta do it first. And it's like, oh, come on, guys.
We have
We are
like,
run by children.
They
Like, you know
are.
those kids in class that would just remind the teacher, oh, aren't you going to collect the homework from last night?
Yep, that's China for you.
No, that's what we have running every country in the world.
Yeah,
We have
seriously.
those students running the countries, and that's why we have so many issues now.
Yep.
No one liked those kids in school. Why do you vote for them now?
Right.
Like, why?
But this is a
They
lot
figured
of
out
people.
the analytics.
I mean, it's only a few hundred, but it's
Right. It's still concerning. Like, to think that that could have possibly been caused by us. Like the U.S.
or look at
would,
2020.
would it really
Right.
surprise you from what we've learned?
Oh, no, absolutely
Nothing
not.
is surprising here. Nothing
No?
is surprising here. Actually, I'm being completely honest with you.
And I'm sure it's
Absolutely.
one of those things where it's like, they have tons of rules and regulations on how you have to handle this stuff, but because it's run by the government, they don't have to follow it. Because if they write the laws, it's not meant for them. Clearly.
Absolutely not. Rules for
Yeah,
the
the reason is swine flu, the same strain of influenza that led to the global pandemic in 2009.
There you go.
It's fucked.
They further point out that in 2017, in Nikolaev, there was an outbreak of hepatitis A. In the summer of the same year, there were similar hotbeds of infection of
I just know Odessa. I don't know what that is.
Zaporizhia, and Odessa, and in the autumn, in Kharkov. In 2010 and through 2012, already under
Yankovic.
the Ukrainian government initiated checks to see if the laboratories comply with all safety measures. As a result, a number of gross disorders were identified that could lead to the leakage of strains of dangerous infections. The fact of extract ventilation facing the premises of a kindergarten was even recorded.
Start them young.
Yeah, I'm going to read that
Build the
again.
immune
Hold on,
system.
I'm going to read that again.
But this is still way too much involvement.
Guys, I'm going to read that again. Because I got to say that really.
Thor does that shit all the time. He'll just let out like a...
Dude, and then he'll just start growling in his
Yeah.
cage, too.
It's fucked.
Okay. Are we ready, kids?
Yes.
The fact of extract ventilation facing the premises of a kindergarten was even recorded. It is said in the appeal of Vadvedchuk and Kuzmin.
Good enough.
Jesus.
Zach, I believe you said...
Oh yeah, start them young, build up that immune system.
Yes, very good. Very good. There's only one way to fight the Americans.
Gotta get them used to what you're working with.
Gives them COVID.
I just think we should be
And
leaving
build
this
up
stuff
immune.
alone. Let nature do its thing. Why do we have to intervene?
Darwinism. Bam, 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 bam. Your mother. Then People's Deputies write that in 2013, President Viktor Yanukovych abandoned such cooperation with the United States, but already in 2014, Petro Poroshenko continued it. It is likely that Yankovic lost power with the active participation of the U.S. government precisely because of his refusal to cooperate with the Pentagon, suggests the deputies from Opposition Platform for Life. In conclusion, they point out, it is possible that the secret and opaque activities of dangerous foreign objects on the territory of Ukraine have the task of testing the actions of viruses and bacteria on the bodies of Ukrainians, and ask the leadership of Ukraine to understand this. The topic of U.S. biological laboratories in Ukraine is not new, and Kuzmin has been conducting it directly for a number of years.
So this has been going on, and we're just
2005.
really learning about it now.
And I see a year coming up. I'm going to read this next. Give me 1 second. It is known that the Geneva Convention of 1972 prohibits the production of bacteriological weapons, and for this reason the U.S. military does not produce them on U.S. territory.
Okay.
And why, after all, there are so many excellent test sites in the world, such as Ukraine or Georgia, where you can produce and test any deadly viruses on the local population. It is enough only to create a military laboratory, give it a harmless name such as...
Very harmless. Oh, that's super harmless. It hurts just to know how to read it.
Sanepidemestinil. We're saying it.
Okay.
Yeah? Alright, well, let's highlight it. You guys let us know down in the comments what the hell this is.
You know what? We can have, like, the computer say it for us, but nah.
Speech.
I'm doing this wrong.
It's not going to find anything. Just right-click on it when you highlight it.
That.
And then just right-click, speech.
No shit.
And start speaking.
Sanepidemstancy Laboratory.
Sanepidemstancy.
You were actually really good in the beginning.
You almost had it, too. That's
Sanepidemstancy.
Let's hear that one more time, guys.
Sanepidemstancy Laboratory.
Sanepidemstancy Laboratory.
Sounds like Sims.
Yeah. Sanepidemstancy.
Okay.
Dimsdale Dimmadome.
World of Dimsdale Dimmadome.
He mentioned this topic in connection with the revelations of the Georgian ex-Minister of State Secretary of Georgia, Igor Gorgagadze. In 2018, he said that the American Luger Center, which is located in Bilsey? These are some interesting words. Tested on Georgian citizens the drugs Sovaldi of the American firm Glide Science. As a result, 73 volunteers were allegedly killed.
Oh my god. Yo, this isn't so good at all.
Jesus, I don't mean to laugh right now. I feel... Holy fuck.
Allegedly. Allegedly killed. They were just never seen from.
Could have been 72. Could have been 70.
Right. They just disappeared off the face of the planet. That doesn't mean that they died.
They could have had the worst experience of their life.
Don't know what happened.
They could have had the worst experience of their life. Come on.
Right. They could just be recluse now.
On April 22nd, the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine responded to Kuzmin's appeal. The answer was not personally addressed to the people's deputies, but to Russian disinformation in general. The embassy confirmed that biological programs in Ukraine are supervised by the U.S. Department of Defense, which in itself is already remarkable. Yeah! However, according to diplomats, the Pentagon works in Ukraine together with the Kiev government. The aim is to ensure the secure storage of pathogens and threatening toxins in public institutions, so that peaceful research and vaccine development can be carried out. No, I think it's a testing site for the diseases that you want to spread to the world.
Isn't Bill Gates like a big part of that too?
Probably.
No. You're kidding. What? He likes to play with science? Maybe that's why they call him a doctor. Anybody got anything to say about that?
Bill Gates.
He's my second favorite doctor.
He made a shitty operating
Oh, I
system
can
that
guess
just
your
happens to
first
be the most
favorite.
popular in the world.
I've been missing him. He hasn't really been making TV appearances.
He has not.
It's because he knows he's going down for the shit he's involved in now.
I don't even think he has that self-awareness.
I don't think so
so. Anyway.
No self-awareness. Dr. Fauci, I love you, though.
Lord and Savior.
He has a picture of himself, like, bigger than him, in his office.
Who was it?
Could you imagine?
Stephen Colbert, I think it was talking about, we just broke a $4 per gallon thing of gas.
I know where you're heading towards.
And he goes, that's the price to pay for a clean conscience. I'll gladly pay $15 per gallon because I drive a Tesla. And I think immediately, like after that aired, like people were just calling him out for being like out of touch and shit.
That's so insanely insensitive.
Right.
It's just like
so out of touch. It's just like, okay, you're not minimum wage. You're not middle class.
Right.
You're not even doing what most people do, and that is diesel or fuel cars.
I would like to also point out, you're not living in an apartment.
Right.
But guys, I don't know if you knew, inflation and high gas prices only affect the top earners of the nation, so people like him. So we should be good, though.
We should follow their footsteps and do everything electric anyway, because we know that's going to definitely stay working.
Well, this is the thing. How do you get electricity without fossil fuels?
That's true.
I mean, look at California, look at Germany. They can't produce enough energy to keep their lights on.
China's a cool place.
China's a great place.
I like the smog.
I like the pollution that it puts on the entire world. It's
I like
great.
the communism.
See, I haven't cared about my lungs for a while, so like, it's kind of good.
Yeah, and
I like
you
the
know,
propaganda.
China, kind of good.
I like the camps that they have over there. What kind of camps?
I wish I was smoking.
They help you concentrate.
I could have been the one that had the little torch and set the flame on fire. I could have been that guy.
I could have been the one at 4 years old and, work in a factory and make pennies.
I can make iPhones.
Yeah.
You think they let them pocket any
what
iPhones?
a great country,
Nah,
man.
they have metal detectors.
Bro, you think it's fun to bounce off the nets?
Probably.
You think it's fun to jump off of those? Yeah, no, that's what I'm thinking. Like,
Do you think they're double bounce?
yeah, do you like? Is that what it is? I'm just saying. Is that like?
Do you think we get double points if we miss the net?
I got some.
Is there a net on the bottom to catch you as well?
No, there's some really inspiring videos on 4chan
I feel like you would just bust through it.
Of China called Wrecked. I would highly recommend to go see China in the Wrecked videos.
Oh yeah.
Very inspiring videos on 4chan.
It's what you can expect.
4chan, Jesus.
So weird.
Terrible. That's awful.
It's inspiring. Great country.
Uh-huh. Of course. Great country. Is that what we called 4chan?
No, China.
Oh, yes. They had goo.
Goo Lagoon.
Zach, you wouldn't know anything about that.
Hmm?
The Americans tell us that the U.S. Department of Defense's Biological Threat Reduction Program is working with partner countries to combat the threat of outbreaks, intentional, accidental, or natural, of the most dangerous infectious diseases in the world. Among such partners, there is Ukraine. Concerning what is specifically done in laboratories, the diplomats write very evasively. Research partnerships and biological surveillance measures are carried out, but some project descriptions include assessing the risks of viruses potentially carried by migratory birds flying over Ukraine, monitoring the prevalence of Crimean Congo
Hemorrhagic, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Hemorrhagic fever. And
the viruses?
In Ukraine, and the potential need for diagnosis in patients with suspected leptospirosis.
Leptospirosis?
There we go.
Psoriasis? Something like that.
I'm so glad I'm not a doctor.
I don't even know what that
is. It would be
is.
so funny for me. Like,
I'm just used to reading them.
Read doctors like prescriptions because it's like they can't pronounce it, so they definitely can't spell it. So maybe that's why it just scribbles.
You know
And
what?
the pharmacist is just like,
They just guess at
You know
what
what?
you need.
is that why they ask you questions? So what you came in for today?
When I go see pharmacists and stuff to pick up my antidepressant, instead of saying the brand name Zoloft, I normally say Sutralene, and they look at me for a second. They're like, "What?" I'm like, "Zoloft." Oh, okay. I'm just like, "Wait, really?" That's the first one that just comes to my mind. I don't just say it to confuse them or anything.
No, yeah.
I just think of Sutralene, serotonin.
Lee.
You know, it just makes sense to me, but they just know the brand names, I guess.
Jesus.
Yeah, so I guess I'm kind of used to saying these kind of... Well, I've mainly read them more than say them. And I don't even know what most of these are, to be completely honest with you. I know that's like hemorrhages, but that's kind of messed up that there's fevers that cause hemorrhages. That's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
Fun time!
And it's like when you say like there's partnerships with other countries too, it just sounds like how we are with like the UN and NATO, where they're getting all of our like research and all the benefits of us funding
Good
this
point.
on
Not
the
under
back
Trump.
of our money.
Not under Trump. Under Trump, he was making them pay. They started paying even more than
Well,
their
not
fair
for
share.
this,
They started paying even more than their fair share under Trump.
but not for this stuff. This I'm talking about like this stuff.
Well,
You said there's partner countries. Like, I'm sure they're not paying as much as we are. You said we were, what, 2 billion something up there?
yeah. Yeah, 2.1.
Yeah, 2.1 billion in funding from the U.S. I doubt any of those partner countries are paying even close to that. I'd be surprised if they're paying more than a few $100,000.
No, they're definitely paying more than that.
No, I kind of
Millions, they
like
got
that
money.
we are doing
True.
this. Actually, the more that we read, because what if Russia and China team up and want to destroy the whole
They
world?
have.
Because they are very
Dragon something.
impulsive.
Dragon Bear.
And
Dragon
they do
Bear.
this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Dragon
so-
Bear, that's
Yep.
their alliance.
I don't understand why we're not talking about China and Taiwan. Like, that's something that will drag us into World War III. Like, okay, yeah, like we can
This is
probably
World War
say...
III. Let's break that down.
I
This
think
is
it might
World
be
War
the
III.
But I
beginning.
don't think anything between Russia and Ukraine will bring us into it.
Oh, well,
If anything, it's
these
gonna be-
biolabs might.
Well, those might, but not in the sense of like we have to respond with a military force.
Russia might force us to.
China just has to attack Taiwan, and we're already in it.
That as well.
That's literally like one thing. Like this has been going on for weeks, and we don't have to be in it.
No,
We've
our
got
president
Biden
will
as our
probably be in
president.
war soon.
And Kamala as next in line.
Like,
And
The
Nancy
thing with
as
this-
next in line.
well, the
God.
point that I'm making is with China and Taiwan. Like, as soon as something happens there, we're involved. Like, we have a whole thing with Taiwan saying, hey,
And if we don't,
if anything ever happens to you, just call us and we're there for you.
and if we don't do that,
How does that make us look?
it'll, after Afghanistan,
Right.
and then that,
Like, it would be bad. So I think if something happened between China and Taiwan, which we already know China's been encroaching on their airspace lately, they're sending ships down to Taiwan, I think I read recently too.
Taiwan's
So-
power went out recently.
Yeah, and they've been having suspected cyber attacks. I don't know
Yep.
if it's confirmed. But yeah, like interrupted a thing. I think we talked about it last week.
I believe so.
Where they were having like the blackouts and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, if there's stuff ramping up there, we need to be paying attention to it. Because that's going to get us immediately involved. And if we're involved with China and they do have an alliance with Russia, that's how we're going to get involved with Russia.
Yeah. Well, this really is shaping up to be somewhat of a world war. I was watching Timcast today, and I forget the lady that was on his show today. But she was bringing up the fact that China said that this is a bipolar world now, where it's a Western versus Eastern society, where it's capitalism versus communism, where
Who's doing better?
Again.
it's really at
Right.
that point. And America's not pulling its weight.
Right.
The Republic has voted in some pretty poor leadership.
I would even use poor to describe it. I don't even think there's a word to describe how incompetent and fucking horrible our administration is right now.
Some pretty homeless leadership. There is also an agreement between Ukraine and the United States dated August 29th, 2005 in the archive of the State Department website. It concerns cooperation in preventing the spread of technologies, pathogens, and experiments that could be used in the manufacture of biological weapons. The treaty was signed by the Pentagon and the Ministry of Health Care of Ukraine, which at that time was headed by Nikolai Piloshchuk. Zach, is that you with your male escorts? You're a little bit of a Piloshchuk.
No.
There's a lot of interesting stuff in the document. For example, it states that the Ministry of Healthcare should send to the U.S. Department of Defense copies of dangerous pathogens that will appear as a result of research carried out in Ukrainian laboratories. The parties also agreed to keep information about the result of their activities secret, and if they are considered secret by the Pentagon, they automatically become so in Ukraine. Oof. Conversely, if Ukraine has classified any information, it should still be available to the Americans. At the same time, the agreement requires to involve as few people as possible in this project, minimize the number of people who have access to limited access information. Well,
How do you guys feel about that?
keep it hush-hush, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I've really hated. Why is there anything classified with our government? Our government's a public agency.
Yeah.
It's not.
They work for us.
Yeah.
I do agree with that, but the way that people can take stuff
Yeah.
the wrong way and
100%.
go
No, there's
fear,
definitely
go
certain
crazy,
limits.
Go
I definitely think
riot.
there's things that
No.
we need to take slowly. If there is aliens
Absolutely.
out there,
Hold on. And biological weapons is
That's
definitely...
fuck
Hold on,
us.
hold on. What other biological weapons have you heard of? You know we have nukes, but you've never heard about the creation of nukes. You've never heard about where they were created. How many of you... Did either of you guys know that we couldn't make nukes in our own country before today?
makes sense.
It makes sense, but did either of you guys know that?
I did not.
No.
Exactly. We don't know much about nukes anyway. We don't know much about this stuff anyway. We just know that we have them. So we're just kind of digging in a little bit and looking at what goes on, what's happening with it. You know? This is kind of just... We never know about it, so they hide all of it. It's kind of like an Area 51 situation where it's you're not supposed to know because it'll blow your mind.
Yeah.
It's there's definitely some information that we don't necessarily need to know, but at the end of the day,
In a situation like this, we should know.
right? We need to know what exactly are we up against?
Yeah.
what
How
are
involved
you
are we?
making? What are you doing?
But I guess, to me, it kind of makes me think that, we're in that mindset of, oh, if we don't get caught, we won't get in trouble. And it's well, we're kind of getting caught right now.
Right.
It's well, it's kind of a dumb mindset then.
Again, it's another one of those childish things. It's we have children running the country.
Yes, absolutely.
That's really what it comes down to. We have children running countries around the world, and this is what it's come to.
Running away from the problems, running away from anything that
Yep.
could possibly be of negative effect to us.
Mm-hmm. If it hurts our feelings, we don't want to hear about it.
The agreement requires to involve as few... Interesting information is also available about the International Scientific Center, which the embassy spoke about and which oversees Ukrainian laboratories. According to the documents, its employees are protected by nothing less than diplomatic immunity. So they don't worry. There was somebody living in my apartment. I live in a 4-bedroom apartment. So one of the people was the daughter of a diplomat. She would go on and on about stories about how, like, anywhere she went, like, she'd be like, "Oh, my dad's a diplomat," and then just get off on whatever she was doing.
I just hate people like that.
Yeah.
Oh, my dad's a diplomat. Oh, my parents do this. It's like, oh, so what do you do?
What?
Use your parents' name?
Yeah.
Like Hunter Biden?
Yeah.
Like anyone that has a
little bit of money.
predominant name.
Yeah.
You can't do anything for yourself. You have to bring up your parents.
Mr. Gates. These studies can be called dual-use studies. On the one hand, they are really important in assessing the threats of the spread of a disease and in developing recommendations to combat it. On the other hand, the results of the study can be used in the development of bacteriological weapons for use in a particular region, wrote Yuri Chakhev on his Telegram channel. Telegram! Since they mentioned their Telegram channel, I would like to plug our Telegram channel. Follow S&P on Telegram. We'll put the link in the description down below.